Okay, well, I'm super excited for you to get to meet. If you haven't seen her elsewhere, she's all over the place. I'm so glad to have Phyllis Newhouse with us. Phyllis, we're here. Air high five. Air high five.
There we go.
There you go.
All right.
Yes, you got to see Phyllis as a judge, and I'm super excited to have you here with Honor to Lead. Thank you for being with us.
I'm honored to be here. Yeah.
Well, it's a privilege, and I wanted to take a second and connect the dot on your background for a second. Mm-hmm. So I'd like for you to just talk about and tell me about, like we did the first time we met, your background in the military. Let's start with that.
Yeah. So Jamie, you know my story, coming from a family of 11 kids, and then one of my sisters was in the Air Force. So I had the opportunity to see her in action and in uniform one day at a Pope Air Force Base. And when I saw that, I knew that I wanted to serve in the military. And so, I spent 20 plus years in the military and had various assignments all over, and a lot of people say, well, you were a fast tracker. You went through the ranks pretty quick, and you had the opportunity to lead at such a young age. But my time in the military and wasn't always that pretty. It was a tough ass journey. Yeah. And I always tell people, it was a lot of things that I experienced, and getting to lead at such a young age, it was tough, but it was necessary, because every rank and every time I moved up the ladder, I had an opportunity to take some not so good things forward, but learn from those things that made me a better leader, a very intentional leader. I had so many different people that I worked for, different leadership styles, and through that journey of what I did in the military, it allowed me to see what type of leader that I wanted to be.
Wow. Yeah.
What some of the bad leaders and some of the really great leaders, and I took that and developed a leadership style that I thought was a very impactful leader. I think in the military that was really key for me.
Yeah, well, and it shines through in all aspects of your life. I remember you telling me this story about how there was an opportunity to work for Colin Powell. Mm-hmm. Would you just share that, just how that worked, or what happened? That was pretty amazing.
Yeah, in the military you have opportunities a lot of times, especially, Jamie, I say this about women, is that, you get there's one role, several, a couple hundred people up for a job, and and the way the military, system used to work then, you had to audition pretty much for, most of the jobs that you got. And a lot of times, and I would say this, just getting an opportunity to go work for someone, and then knowing that there are so many other qualified people, and then, and in that moment you get told, well, there's 1,500 people up for a job, and it's only going to select one person. And then, you get into interviews, and so many interviews you go through, and then you get to that point where, you're asked, why do you think you're being selected for this job, and why do you think that you're here?
That was the question you were asked, wasn't it?
Yeah. And not just, as I think back on it, Jamie, that was the question I got asked by a lot of leaders,
did you really?
A lot of leaders too, especially when you start getting in the senior leadership role.
Ask that question again, just because I want to hear that.
The question is that, what makes you so qualified? Why do you think you're here for the job? What makes you so special? Yeah. And basically, and so you go down this list of things, because I'm great at what I do, because I think that I have the best skills, and no, that's not the reason why. And when I found out that because you have the greatest potential, and that, to me, when a leader that you so respect and admire tells you, you don't have the best resume, but you have the best potential.
Wow.
And that right there was a game changer. And for me, even today, as a leader, I'm always looking for the person that has the potential.
Yeah. Well, and I want them to also understand that when you got out, a lot of stuff has happened in your life, but one of the things, you started an amazing business. I mean, you're an amazing entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Ernst Young, Entrepreneur of the Year. With Cyber Company. You broke a lot of records. You still do to this day, but I want them to understand who they're listening to. This is military. This is business. Woman extraordinaire. So talk about your business real quick. Tell us about what you do, or at least the context of what this is.
Yeah, so we're a cybersecurity firm, and we specialize in consultancy, training, And we have products like Cyber Rangers that really help cyber professionals understand the landscape and vulnerabilities that are out there that are real. And so when I left the military, starting a company, I knew that I had the leadership skill sets to do it. So I didn't fear the journey of an entrepreneur. Because I kept thinking, well, there's so many unknowns you don't know in the military. How could this be any different, this journey? It was very different. However, I think there was so many things that I had from the military that propelled me to say, failure is just not a damn option.
Wow.
You just can't fail at this. You're born to do this.
That mindset.
Yeah, it's 100% mindset. Yeah.
Talk to me. We were talking earlier today, and you were with several different folks here earlier in a conference and some meetings. But you said you were talking about what it means now, and I'm going to kind of bring us into now. And there's several things I'm thinking about from when you and I met in LA, and I got to go visit with all your WPO friends. And
Jamie was hanging out with about 3,000 women CEOs from all over the world.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm chasing you around. And you're like, meet so-and-so, meet so-and-so. I'm like the only dude that's there for like, who knows how far.
Yeah.
And man, talk about a fish out of water. But watching just the amazing women that are out there who have started some amazing companies and success that is just people dream of. But watching that, one of the traits I think you've talked about, or I guess tell me the first trait that comes to mind when you think about leadership now, especially where we're headed in our country and with business, and let's bring us into now. What do you think about it?
I think the most, it is imperative that a leader has courage today. I don't care what you're leading. If you're leading in any capacity, you must exemplify courage. Because you know what? COVID-19 happened. Businesses had to pivot. They had to do so many things that they had never had to do before. And that took courage. It took courage to say, you know what? I'm going to stand up because Black Lives Matter. A lot of people tried to be bystander leaders, and that does not work in today's environment. You had to stand out front and say, listen, I'm willing to take a dart, but I'm going to stand up for what I believe. And I think now we have a generation of employees that are requiring leaders to lead, intentionally lead, but have courage. And I think that's so important.
It's a courageous leader. It's
courageous leader.
Yeah, but it takes, I think the word too that you said was guts. You're like, man, you got to have guts to do this. To lead today, you got to have guts.
And not only that, Jamie, I think leaders got to be willing to take a hit. Sometimes, you know what? I've done town halls before, and those are very tough. Because
what do you mean?
You're the guy, you're the girl or the guy that's sitting on the stage and say, okay, you can ask me anything. Just shoot for it. Go for it. And then all of a sudden you get a question like, why are we doing this? And then you go, are we doing that? Why are we doing that? And then you've got to be able to say, here's what, that's a great point. We're going to go back and assess that, and we're going to see how can we make things better. Leaders have to be willing to do town halls, take the tough stuff. And then what do you do with the tough stuff?
Can you think of, I guess, when you said you have had good examples, you've had bad examples. When you think about a town hall and somebody asks a question like that, and what are we doing about this? You see people dodge that. You see several people in leadership positions that don't go straight in with that.
Jamie, I had an experience. I'll share this. I remember winning one of the largest contracts we'd ever won. And I remember we were taking this contract over from a company that had had this contract for about 17 years. Wow. So imagine that. So all the employees, they have all this uncertainty. They don't know who the heck this Phyllis Newhouse and Xtreme Solution. They don't know anything about this company. And so I remember we held a town hall to introduce ourselves to the folks we were bringing on to the company. And then I said, you may ask us anything that you feel like is. They started asking, why is this company doing this? We're coming from a company that does this. And it was super painful to hear how they compared us to another company. But we decided to take all of those issues that they had and go back and as leaders, we were going to go back and we were going to address them again after we fixed the problem. And so we took all of that. But a lot of times, leaders are like to dodge. You know, good news does not get better over time. It does not.
Good news, that's right. Doesn't get better over time. And it's almost, and then there's some times, I know that you've said that in both the leadership position that you're in with your company or all these boards you're on several boards and you're with several amazing influencers. But when you're dealing with things that you know is not right and you're talking about being courageous, there's also, what did you call it? The unapologetic no or whatever. Remember how you talked about that?
Yeah.
So what is that? What is that?
Yeah, I think, you know, for me as a leader, being able to say no and don't apologize for saying, okay, I'm sorry. No, I'm not saying I'm sorry first. The answer is no. No today, no tomorrow. And I don't apologize for saying no, so I'm not even going to say, I'm sorry, the answer is no. We often do that as leaders. If the answer is no, listen, we will not be moving forward with that policy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I'm sorry. We're just not moving forward. I've already made the decision as a leader. Being confident in that decision that you're making.
Confidence oozes from Phyllis if you're ever around her or if you get a chance to go to dinner with her or ask questions or kind of, she's going to tell you the truth and that courage comes out of you. Looking at your background, you know, going back and even the project that we did with Viola. And you guys had a really good conversation about both of your backgrounds, different but similar, and what you came through and with your family and then also with culture at the time. That courage for you, you know, when was it or what instance or what time did you finally realize you didn't need to ask permission to be at the table? Because you're at some amazing tables. Yeah. But when did you realize it? Because that's confidence and that courage. When did that occur to you?
You know what, Jamie? I was at an event one time, and this was super crazy. I went to an event, and I was the only African-American, the only woman, and all these guys were sitting at the table. And so I see this one table open. The woman was sitting at the table, and I decided to take out a name tag and just put my name on it and put it at the center of the table. So all of a sudden, people were coming to that table, and they said, was somebody sitting here? I said, this is my table. And they said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you had a table. Then they would go sit somewhere else. And then all of a sudden, all the tables started to get full. And so then people had to sit. They said, hi, could I sit here? Or whose table? I said, it's my table. I said, but you can ask for permission and I'll decide if you can sit here. I said, so tell me who you are. Oh, my name is Jim. Okay, Jim, what do you do? Okay, you can sit here. And then one by one, I began to let them sit at a table that I claimed that I didn't own. And what I realized in the moment, especially as a woman entrepreneur, you have more power than you realize. It is if you make a decision to exercise that power. You own the table. You never really needed permission. And so in that moment, I realized I will never ask for permission to sit at another table. I'm going to own the table. And when I sit down, people will have to ask me, can they sit at my table?
Sit at your table?
Yeah. So from that moment, I learned that from, wow, look at how many people came and started asking to sit at a table that I didn't even own.
Wow.
And most of the time, especially as entrepreneurs, sit at the table. Just take.
So is that how you apply it? Like, would you apply that to business?
Yes, because same thing. You want a client. I want you to see the capabilities that I have, not who I am. Don't give me a label. Look at the capabilities. And a lot of times people don't believe that they don't earn the right. I just spoke with a veteran today, and I said to him, you gave 20 years of service that was free. You volunteered to serve in the military. All the free stuff is over. You've earned the right to now ask for what you've already paid the price for.
There you go.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And you've had mentors over, your career and in your life. Who jumps out as like one immediately to you that, helped instill that confidence or that commitment, I guess, to you?
When you're coming from a family of 11, I tell you what, I dare not say somebody other than them first, okay? Because they're probably watching. Yeah. And my mother, number one, right? She's just an amazing leader with 11 children, raised her brothers and sisters too. So she comes to mind first. But in terms of a business mentor, I have to tell you, there's a woman that comes to mind who's still good friends. She was Janice Bryant, African-American.
I've met Janice.
Yeah, you met Janice. She's one of the largest minority businesses in the country. And to be able to see someone that looked just like me and a woman who had a huge business gave me the idea, this is possible.
Yeah.
You know, that's you. And but she became a mentor and really gave me the coaching, because sometimes you need to be coached, sometimes you need to be mentored, and sometimes you need to be advised. You got to know what you need in the moment of growth.
Yeah. I've heard you say that. You've said, Jamie, I think this is a coachable moment for so-and-so. Is this a coachable moment? So is this a coaching moment? Isn't that how you say it? Or
I always say, Jamie, this is a coaching moment, okay? This is a coaching. I want to be clear.
That's a nice way to say, shut up and listen to what I'm about to tell you, because it's going to help you. It's going to help you do it. Yeah, I've heard that. And I've watched that. And I think that's what makes you unique, is that you believe in others and you believe in people enough to say, hey, here's how we get there.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's an amazing thing. Let's talk quickly about something I'm excited about that you're doing. And that is, finally, we've been able to find the time to take life lessons that you've got, business lessons, military lessons, and kind of combine this into a way to teach others and to capture some of these moments of teaching from you in a course. And we focused, I think, out of the get-go, you were thinking the 11 principles of leadership. And so you think about a leader, guys, this is a leader. But when those 11 principles came up, where did that idea come from, and why did we start there?
You know what? The idea came from through my journey. I always think of things like, I want to go to the land of leadership. How do you get there? You got to pack a suitcase and put those things in your suitcase. So what is it that I want to put in my suitcase? The first thing, Jamie, I got to put in my suitcase, I have to put passion. If you don't have passion, why are you taking the trip? Nobody wants to go on a trip they're not excited about. Right. And I think leadership requires passion. What type of leader are you? So I thought, let me talk about these 11 things that's been in my suitcase. What have I traveled with on my journey that made me a great leader? Because there is a difference between a good leader and a great leader. And I like to say, you know what? A great leader feels like they're making the impact. And so that's why these 11 principles are important.
And they don't change. I mean, I remember at one point while we were filming, you said, I dare people to think of the 12th. Maybe there's a 12th, but you haven't, you always ask. Remember how you asked that?
Yeah, what's the 12th? I've given you 11. What's the 12th one?
Can you think of one that just comes to mind that's special to you on the 11 principles of leadership that just jumps out?
You know, when I think of it, I think about commitment.
Okay.
You know what? Leadership there comes a level of commitment you must have as a leader. And when I think about the commitment, is that you can't take the title and not be committed. You know what? You have to take the responsibility, the title, everything comes with that level of how committed are you to a leader? Yeah. You know, are you committed to a point where you're still learning, you're still growing, you're still stretching yourself as a leader? It takes commitment to do that. Yeah. What
do you see when you think about that transition, like to the future for a second? Because I know you think about the future. You and I have conversations all the time. Oh, I got this idea, and what if we did this? What if we do that? But where do you see things heading? I mean, a lot's changed, and a lot is continuing to change for a lot of people and in a great way. But what do you see when you think about the future? Where do you see yourself, and what do you see yourself doing?
You know what? I honestly believe this. I think a lot of people don't ever get to walk in their God-given purpose. They just can't, for whatever reason. You know, and I honestly feel for the future for me, I am so confident in where I'm supposed to be walking and traveling and doing and becoming, is that I think that we have such a deep responsibility. When you know you are a great leader, you're supposed to use that to become impactful. And I think that where I'm headed, you know, when I look at, opportunity to do podcasts and, just training and coaching and mentoring and advising, I think that you have to do it with a level of responsibility to be impactful. Yeah. And so I think that we have so much, we've done the course. I'm looking forward to expanding that into podcasts. We're working on material that we can, we can actually take people through the process of great leadership.
Yeah, and you mentor a lot of people. I mean, every time we talk, it's like, who you're helping in whatever journey. And I know we won't name names, but you've got everybody from athletes that you work with that are very prominent athletes to people in the music industry, to and the way that your life always seems to, if you're on a plane, not a whole lot of plane right now necessarily, but you always seem to end up with these conversations where it's like, oh, I got to so-and-so and now we're helping them grow this or do that. You love to give back. I mean, you really do. And that's part of your passion is to teach.
Absolutely.
And you're great at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that is something that I know is a trait of yours that is a magnet too, because it brings opportunity, brings people together.
Yeah,
in a lot of
absolutely.
ways. So, well, and on that note, we were talking, earlier, and you were judging earlier this group. Before we transition out to that, though, is there anything you can think of that comes to mind, that's on your heart, that you want to say to our military community? What would be your call to action? And let me give you credit for a second. When we were talking about, when Cortez and I were talking about, and Joe Carter talking about how we can take this message of honor to lead to the military community right now, the veterans, the military spouses, military supporters, the community at large. It was about, we always thank people for their service. Thank you for your service,
absolutely.
Which was always past tense. Mm-hmm. And, we just felt like that sounds like that was that was yesterday. But what we need now more than ever is for people to
lead again.
Yeah, that came from you. Yeah. You were on a phone call and you said, Jamie, we need him to lead again. So you get credit for that, but and so much more. But the point is, what would be your message in that kind of context to kind of wrap up our session? What would you say to him?
We're living through times that none of us predicted, none of us asked for, and no matter whatever side of the fence you wake up on any given day, we served. And I always say most of us as veterans, when we left and we joined the military and we decided to serve America, we served one America always. And so I think right now we have the opportunity to lead again and serve again. And whatever you can do as a leader, whatever you can be, I think it's so critically important that you continue to lead again. Continue. We know how to do this. We've done this before, and this is not foreign to us, leadership. But communities need us, and they need great leaders who are willing to stand up, and who are willing to stand up for purpose and passion, and be passionate about it. Because I think that is when America becomes one again, when those that have done it before come back and do it again. Yeah.
Awesome. Amen to that. Amen to that. Thank you, Phyllis, for this time. This is going to be hopefully one of many times you'll be with us at Honor to Lead, but you're an awesome person. Thank you for being with us and joining us today.
Thank you.